So my name is Hannah, and I'm a junior at Mount Holyoke right now. I'm a Middle Eastern Studies major and a Gender Studies minor.
Okay. And when did you study abroad?
I studied abroad summer 2010 in Amman, Jordan. I was part of the Critical Language Scholarship Program, which is a really great program sponsored by the State Department. And basically, I think they have these programs in maybe 12 languages, all kind of less commonly taught, really critical languages for U.S. interests. And basically they fund you studying whatever language that is for the whole summer. So from the time you leave, your house to get on the plane, till the time you get back to your house, you don't have to pay anything, which is really great. I think it was a really great program. The intensive nature of it was really helpful for me. I think it was at times really stressful because there's so much, you're in this new environment and you're working so hard all of the time and you're just like, oh, I just want a break, but I definitely saw an incredible improvement in my language skills. I could tell that it was there, and when I did a post-program interview, I just had jumped up so many levels in speaking and comprehension and everything. It was really great. So the intensiveness of it it had its pros, but it definitely had some cons too. And then in terms of studying abroad, being in the culture kind of that you are studying, it was really great. I found it very complementary to a lot of my study. And I think especially for Arabic, it's really important to study abroad or to be in a context where you're learning not just Fusha, but Ammiya as well, to be able to really kind of have the skills to talk to anyone and everyone. And personally, I think studying abroad is really great because I would have experiences that would make me learn a vocabulary word, or see a sign and have that kind of mental oh, this is a sign for this place, and I have that mental connection to what that word means and all of that. It was a kind of learning that wasn't just in the classroom or in the book anymore. It was this is how this language is working, in real life, which is really fantastic. Yeah, there are going to be cultural challenges wherever you go, no matter what. The Middle East can be a particularly challenging place to go for American women, or for Western foreign women, I think. But Jordan is really, there's a problem with sexual harassment in general in the Middle East, but Jordan is a really, I would say it's one of the safest. The problem is the least intense there. And I think, generally if you dress appropriately, you have to and you should respect, those kind of cultural dictates. I think that's really important, and that will go a really long way in kind of, dealing with some of those issues, don't go out in a mini skirt, just wear some long pants, wear a 3/4 length top, and you'll generally be okay. I never had any personal issues. Some people did, but I think that you can kind of combat those if you're just safe and aware, and that's not really a problem. I think I'm trying to think of what else that I experienced. I think it can be, especially being a woman, the gender thing can be really interesting, and I would recommend, as a woman, to just read up on some basic, or talk to someone that's been to the Middle East, basic little things that you just shouldn't do, not sit in the front seat of a taxi with a male taxi driver. That's just kind of it's not a bad thing, it's not gonna get you in trouble, but it can make the situation uncomfortable for both of you. I think it gave me a much fuller appreciation and a much fuller understanding. I don't think I completely understand everything, but I am much closer to a kind of better understanding. And I think, you read a lot of stuff on the news, or people say things in class, or, being a Middle Eastern Studies major, I am kind of thrown into a lot of these issues. And then being there and having that experience of seeing what's going on, with your own eyes, being in that experience can really change, how you feel about a culture. And I think, yes, there are things that are challenging about the Middle East, but there are things that are challenging no matter where you go. And I think being in the Middle East, visiting there, living there, gave me an understanding of the challenging things, but also a really great appreciation of the wonderful things about Middle Eastern culture. Genuinely everyone that I talked to was like so excited to talk to me. And we're like, oh my God, you're speaking to me in Arabic. Like, that's really great. Like, where are you from? What are you doing here? Where are you staying? Have you been here? Have you been there? You should do this. People are just so excited. And there is such a, Middle Eastern culture is very different. And I think different bad things and different really, really great things. That being there just made me open my eyes to. I think one thing for me, the biggest thing, if I could go back and do my summer and do it over again, I would definitely get out of my classroom a lot more. And I was living in ACOR, which is the American Center for Oriental Research, in Amman, which is basically a kind of organization for Western, mostly American, but also Western researchers and people that are just in Amman doing work, basically. So I wasn't in homestay. It was hard to get out, and be like, okay, maybe I should stop doing my homework and, go to the market or go see a movie or, that kind of thing. So I would definitely recommend getting out of the classroom and use the country and use all of these experiences that you can have as a classroom, because that's the kind of experience that you're not gonna get when you're back, back in the US. Going to Amman really made me realize how important AMIA is, and how, for my goals, I really wanna work with women and girls in the Middle East and do some kind of work with an NGO or a charity, government agency, anything that will let me kind of work with women and girls, basically. And I really want to be able to communicate as best as I can directly, with the people that I would like to help. And I think I'm so glad that I have the Five College World Language Center, because AMIA is not, at least at Mount Holyoke, the focus is very much on Fusha, which is very important and very legitimate. But I really want to do AMIA, and I really think that that's what's important for me, and having that chance to study it here has been fantastic.